So glad you're back for Mystery Monday in February. This is our third clue. We've gotten 2 steps down the way and we're ready to take on 4x4, our next step. Last week we worked on half square triangles. We went ahead and put those together in the colorways that I had given you in the handouts, and we've got a nice little stack of 2 sets of those. We went in and we also cut off all those nasty little dog ears. That'll kind of keep our work tidier, and it's kind of a surprise that we would cut them off, but you're going to see why you're doing that this time. So now what we're going to be doing is we're going to take the units, lay them out according to the chart that I sent to you. And you'll see that we're creating a 9 patch. I like to lay it out in front of me. I've got my units off to the side, and I just set it all there to kind of review it and compare it to the chart. Then what I do is I take the second one over, flip it down onto the first one, because I'm getting ready to sew this 9 patch out. And so what I want to do is line it up so I can go into the sewing machine. I'm going to go down to the second one in the middle. I'm going to stack it over onto that one that's its partner right next to it. We're lining this up to go to the sewing machine. I don't really fuss with ironing it or anything like that. We're going to go to the third row and we're going to lay this down. As you can see, if we were to take that row and go right into the sewing machine, we'd have that first row of our 9 patches already. What we want to do is we want to line it up. So I'm going to stack that top one on top of the next one, so that as I have this stacked in front of me, I'm going to have all 9 squares in my hand to work from one. So then I go down and I pick up the third unit. So I now have 6 units in my hand. They're facing the way that I want them. I want to pick up that last row over there to my right. And so I'm going to take that stack, I'm going to walk it over to the right, and I'm going to be stacking it up on that upper half square triangle so that I can pick those up going down the way. So I've got my whole 9 patch. So I'm reaching up here, stacking it up on top of that one. So I've got the twosies together. Now I'm stacking up singulars, and I'm just picking it up that way. If you notice, I've moved over to my right hand so I can pick this up. That, for me, that right hand, that's going to be where I'm going to be sewing. And I have a tendency to like to work this way because then that way I don't accidentally turn my units. So I'm picking up my 9th unit, and I'm going to be having it all in my right hand ready to go into the sewing machine. And so we're going to be picking them up, moving them out underneath there. And now I pick up the first twosies. And those twosies, I'm going to walk them into the machine. Now if you notice behind me, I have a little thread saver back there, but my thread saver is just 2 very tiny squares. Walk that into the machine. You can see my thread saver back there. Going to pick up my next twosie. Going to walk that into the machine, and I walk it right in there with the same right-handed piece there so I can move it in. So now I've got 4 pieces together. I take my next twosie and I walk it into the machine. And so now I have 3 sets of 2 that I walk into the machine. If you notice now, the next piece is face up. And we know that we're going to be putting that in that 3rd position in the top row. What I want to do though first is I'm reaching around to the back of the beginning of those units. I'm going to clip off my little thread saver, which is 2 little squares. And I like to have that thread saver be squares as opposed to just a scrap of fabric, because you're going to see I'm going to build something really cool. I run that into the machine, after I have my 3 sets of 2s, and now I'm ready to get going with the next part of it. I'm clipping that thread close. So now I've got my twosies. I'm walking into the machine. I've still got that top one from the 3rd row over in the upper right hand corner. I go back and I pick that up and I open it up, and now I'm going to be ready to lay that top in the 3rd position down on top of that twosie to make it a 3rd row. And I just pick it up and turn it over. I go to my next one. I now have a 4 patch. I'm going to be opening up that piece on the left hand side so that I'll be able to lay that 4 patch down. If you notice, I didn't turn this. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick it up, and I'm going to be flipping it over face down, not turning it, not getting interrupted by the TV or anything else, so that I know right where I'm going. I go to my 3rd one, and I'm ready to pick up that great little chartreuse and purple piece, and I'm going to line that up there. So I've walked it in there without having to rearrange and turn things around. So I'm walking it into the machine. I'm going to be reaching back for that thread saver in the back there in a little bit, and I'm going to be adding my next unit to it. or I'm going to be picking up another one. And so I walk it in there and I'll be able to cut this off at that piece. Now I have all my 9 patches put together into 3 rows, and those are all sewn up where I need to be. I trust the system. I'm going to go back here, I'm going to clip that off. If you notice, I've already run another little toozy under the sewing machine, so I've got that ready, and I actually have 3 little squares stuck onto that piece. Now I'm doing the cross seams on my 9 patch. Now if I was doing quite a few 9 patches, I might actually start using my 9 patches to be my thread savers for my 9 patches. But I want you to see what I'm doing with that. And then I'm going into the machine. I've done my last seam on this. And if you notice, I've got some little units of 9 patches that are going out on here while I'm working through on this one unit. Now I've got the entire 9 patch ready to go along with my big 9 patch. So this is what I do when I'm working on pieces so that I always have another piece going on. This is our last week for this. I hope you can email me some pictures. We're going to be working with 4x4, and we're going to be sending you an email hoping that we can get some pictures for finishing.